And welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in on today's Daily Liverpool. It's going to be a transfer news special, joined by two very special guests, Connor from the Cock Council and Doug from the Football Channel. Thank you very much, lads, for coming on. And just before everyone, make sure you head over and subscribe. Subscribe if you're new around here as well to get all the latest transfer news, Daily Liverpool news as well. But nice one, lads. I'll leave all the lads' links in the description down below. But I just got to start at Doug. When we first started the Skype call anyway, mate, I had to comment on your fantastic new haircut.
It's very, very nice to have short hair again, isn't it? Yeah, honestly. I was doing one video this week, and actually my hair was coming down to my eyes, and I was like, this cannot go on for much longer. But no. Thankfully, I said to my hairdresser yesterday, I said, just make it short, and I like this length anyway. So, but yeah, it's nice to have short hair again. But I hope you're doing well, Jack, and thank you for having me on again.
Yeah, absolutely, legends. Thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully, every single one of you is keeping safe and well, everyone, looking after one another. And Connor, I think I could do with my haircut as well. Just before we get into the transfer news. And speaking of haircuts, Mo Salah, what do you reckon of Mo's haircut? Everyone, let us know in the comment section below. He's looking very stylish now, isn't
he? It's just weird. It's weird though. Like day one of Dejan Lovren leaving Liverpool, and Mo just goes on a crazy one. He's just. To be fair, I think all of us, this year has just been a crazy year. I think that's just been it. But I think now we look normal. Now I think if you look back at a video probably about 2 months ago, we all look like cavemen. And now
I think I still do. Look at that. I need that haircut. Sorry, I know my mum's been an hairdresser for like 30+ years, but I think I stopped getting an haircut she was like, even though she done my last one, but that was when I went to look like my dad with a slap head anyway. But I don't think I'm going to try and grow it if I can.
To be fair, I wonder actually how much hair could have been donated throughout the UK over the last 2 weeks. It's crazy. But yeah, thanks for having me on again, mate. And to be fair, I think all of us now look normal again, and we don't look like cavemen.
I'll never look normal anyway, lad. But nice one. Thank you very much, everyone. Let us know, Mo's, out of 10, what would you give it? I think it's very stylish anyway, and as you were saying, teed up really perfect. Everyone talking about Dejan Lovren. We'll go straight into him in a little second. Apologies, everyone. But tonight's talking points, really, everyone. We want to gauge every single one of your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you do get involved in all the tonight's stories, everyone. But I wanted to pick 4 talking points, and I want to gauge everyone. Most importantly, your 2 thoughts anyway, boys. Lovren replacements. Obviously, he moved to Zenit, so there has been a lot. I think a lot of transfer news stories will be getting generated over the next coming weeks anyway. Will it be a replacement? Will Liverpool promote a player from the academy into the first team setup? Be very interesting. Everyone, let us know your thoughts. Lovren's replacements. We won't delve too much into Thiago's story anyway, the Bayern Munich man. I think over the last couple of days, there has been rumours that Liverpool kind of distanced themselves, not unofficially, but in terms of all the latest transfer rumours anyway. Ginny's contract, really, I think little talking points on that as well. Do we see him staying any longer? And I wanted to gauge every single one of your thoughts at home as well. Would you take anyone from the relegation teams in the Premier League this season? Liverpool famous, got Robbo from Hull when he got relegated, Ginny from Newcastle when they got relegated as well, and Shaqiri from Stoke anyway when they got relegated. So will Liverpool, I think we could put a couple of names in the hat, but don't want to spoil it now. But we'll get straight into it. Connor, Dejan Lovren, of course, he's leaving, fantastic servant to the football club, regardless of the occasional, very rare times he did hiccup anyway, but it was always, it's when you defend it or a goalkeeper. I think if you make a mistake, it's very high profile and it would implement into obviously conceding a goal and that, maybe. But could you see, as we said, and I'll ask Doug in a little second, will Liverpool promote youth, or do you reckon Liverpool will go out spend big, or do you reckon it'll be either spend low on a 10 to 15 million pound player?
It's the $1 million question. To be fair, it's what are Liverpool going to do? How much do Liverpool have realistically? Because we don't really know. I think we have ever since Klopp's come in, we've had an idea what he's going to do and who realistically we need. But I feel like this year it's very unpredictable. What he could end up doing. I think I said on my channel that I think the obvious candidate from youth is Keanu Hoover, or Hoiver, however you pronounce his name. I think he is probably the best person for that. I think Seb Vandenberg hasn't worked as well, and I think Jurgen wanted him to have a better year than what he did have in the development, but apparently he didn't have a very good under-23 season, which is a bit disappointing. But of course, there's time for improvement with Seb. He's got, what is he, 17, 18? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how young he is. So I think Keanu Hoover would be the obvious person for fourth choice, but then you've got the people like Ben White from Brighton. That's going to cost you about 35-40 million. Apparently Brighton want to keep hold of him this season because he's done so well for Leeds. Leeds could get him as well, so that's another team that could compete with Liverpool. Obviously newly promoted as well. So for me personally, I would like Ben White because I think he's 22. Yes, he's English, and English defenders do tend to be overhyped. But if you do generally watch his gameplay and watch him, week to week, I've watched, some of Leeds games this season, and whatever I've seen of him, he's done, fantastic for Leeds. So for me, I think long-term investment, I think, he would be superb. But for here right now, I think if Liverpool don't have money to spend and want to keep hold of the money, then I think Keanu Hoover is perfectly, capable of being fourth choice centre back for next season.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, mate. It'll be very interesting to see where Ben White does go. I know Tom, me mate, he's a Leeds fan, and he's been very heavily impressed by him. I think Brighton have just, I don't know if it's official now, but prior to us recording this video, Veltman from Ajax, Brighton have signed, or potentially signed them anyway. He's a fantastic player. Probably the player that stopped Ajax from signing a very young Virgil van Dijk, which was very interesting. Obviously, it was at Groningen anyway at Ajax. So I think that's a fantastic signing for Brighton. And could that lead him to going to Leeds anyway, Ben White? If I was Ben White, I think I'd move to Leeds. Obviously, you've developed over the last couple of seasons anyway at Leeds. You're getting first team football, coming into the Premier League. Doug, Connor's mentioned Ben White. I think, I'm going to ask you a question, mate, in terms of Liverpool's areas, in terms of central areas, even though Lovren is leaving, do you think this position is probably what priority would you put it in terms of Liverpool's transfer potential signings? Obviously, Liverpool have got Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Matip, Hoover as well anyway, Seth Vandenberg, as Connor mentioned. Where would you rank it and say about, obviously, priority-wise in terms of centre-back?
I think we have to have this obviously debate. I do think we need another centre back, because I do think of obviously like if one of Van Dijk or Gomez gets injured, then obviously you've got Matip, and then obviously you've got like Hoiver. I don't know how to pronounce it either, but
just call him. I think it was Jean.
I do think we need another centre back. I do think, like I said, if Virgil or Gomez get injured, then I do think that we are a little bit short there. So with Lovren going, I do think we'll get a centre back. Ben White, it's an interesting one because I think he'll probably stay at Brighton now. I think Graham Potter wants to have him for the next season, and I think he's obviously seen how impressive he's been at Brighton at Leeds. Sorry. But yeah, like you say, Brighton are they're getting a good squad up there. Obviously with Veltman, which is a fantastic signing for Brighton, and obviously they've got Lallana as well. So they're obviously doing it as well. Obviously, Other defenders have been mentioned. Obviously, there's Ozcan from Schalke. I think Matip may have a wee word with him because obviously ex-Schalke, of course. So that might be something happening. I've seen Diego Carlos being mentioned, but then again, are we going to pay 50, 60 million on a fourth choice centre back? I just can't see it. So and then obviously there's the Real Betis boy. Obviously, name doesn't ring the bell with me. So and I think he's available for about 12 million. So looking at that, you'd have to say that yes, it is a big priority. I think the main priority is attacking midfielder. I do think the biggest priority this season is definitely an attacking midfielder. But obviously looking at it, I would say defender probably first, then attacking midfielder, because I think, as I've said, if one of those two get injured, we are very short at the back.
Yeah, spot on. Everyone, obviously the lads have mentioned, it's going to be a big priority for Liverpool. For me personally, as I said, I think tie up there, definitely Doug and Connor. In terms of, you've seen how important centre-backs can be. And Eric Laporte for Manchester City last season was probably one of the many reasons why they lost so many points last season. I think, as already mentioned, if Liverpool were to lose Virgil van Dijk for a large, similar period to what Laporte was out for, I think you'd see a vast drop-off in terms of the 90-odd plus points anyway. There's not that many Virgil van Dijks on the market, and Laporte is on the market, two of the best Premier League, probably two of the best centre-backs in Europe anyway. So it will be interesting. Everyone, let us know your thoughts. Would you stick with youth, or would you go and buy a player for in and around 15, 20 million anyway? But we'll go straight on to, as Conor and Doug have mentioned, Liverpool's shake-up in midfield. Obviously, Lallana, as we've already mentioned, has gone out to Brighton. Thiago, I think he's been a name that has been dominating the headlines yet again. But just before we hit the record button on this show, before I was speaking to Doug and Connor, everyone, I'll ask you at home, do you think Thiago is going to be another Timo Werner, where as in the parent club are using a club's name like Liverpool or City or Barca to really generate interest in that Z player? Connor, start with you, mate. Do you think that is the case, or he's a fantastic player? We've already discussed on all of our channels anyway his vast qualities as a footballer. He's very much a Jurgen Klopp style player. We could see him, but I think we'll talk about Gini Wijnaldum in a little second to really end this story, mate. But do you think it's paper talk?
Yeah, it is a bit. I think Jurgen Klopp admires him. I think that's been well documented since the quarterfinal last year in the Champions League, especially where Thiago played, I think, the sixth role at Anfield, and did absolutely superb that night. And I just think that yes, Klopp loves him, and yes, he would work superbly in a Jurgen Klopp system, but I do believe it is paper talk. I believe Bayern are using Liverpool to try and get a better deal for Thiago, because if you listen to Bild and other news outlets and places like that, apparently the estimation's going down every single day if you listen to that. And I just think it's a bit weird how Liverpool is they won't spend a certain amount, and then Thiago's gone down to that certain amount. So it's a bit weird like that. But yeah, he'd work perfect in a system. He's worked under Guardiola realistically, and Klopp and Guardiola, they're not too dissimilar in their football in a sense, but there are changes there. But Thiago worked perfectly in a Guardiola system. Why can't he work good in a Klopp system? I've seen plenty of people, complaining that he's 29 and things like this. Yes, age is a bad thing, but we've got James Milner that's 34 and looks like he's in the prime of his career. So, if Klopp trusts him, and Klopp wants to go for him, I'd be more than happy to go behind it. But if a certain Dutch midfielder was to leave and not sign a contract, then I'd be furious about that more than I would signing Thiago. So, it's a bit Mitch and match. I think that's how you say it. But I think that realistically, people are using Liverpool for the name, and realistically, I do think that it is paper talk at the end of the day.
Yeah, spot on. You're very interesting point that you mentioned there, mate. The age category. Liverpool very renowned for. If you're old enough anyway, it doesn't matter how old you are, really. I think, as you mentioned there, mate, Liverpool will bring it in. And I think 30 years old, if you could get Thiago, he's a fantastic footballer, absolute ball of a midfielder anyway. And I think he could add really a lot to Liverpool's game. With the introduction of form in terms of Naby Keita, Doug, and you've got Curtis Jones, who just previously won a Premier League League 2 player of the season anyway, obviously for the under-23s. His development in coming in. Naby Keita, hopefully, Virgil van Dijk this week, put him in a category of world class. Mm-hmm. And if there's one person you'd listen to, it's Virgil van Dijk talking about his teammates anyway, than other people on social media platforms anyway. But in terms of what would you reckon, and as Colin's mentioned, Gino Wijnaldum still to and froing. He could be signing that contract. We never know. If only we were flying the wall. But if you're going to anyone at Liverpool's watching anyway, please get Gino to sign his contract. Because we all love him as a footballer. But I'll ask what I asked Connor there, mate. Do you reckon it's paper talk or your thoughts are really on Curtis Jones' developments in Naby's?
Well, firstly, congratulations to Curtis Jones. I think that's absolutely fantastic that he's obviously got the Premier League player of the year 2 or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I will say what I said a couple of weeks back. Naby Keita was the best player for Liverpool in lockdown. I thought it was absolutely magnificent when he came back, and this is what we've been missing. And I also said this a couple of weeks back as well. I do think next season, I think the 2 midfield slots, I think Fabinho and Henderson, I think they're signed, sealed and delivered. I think there's one position that is up for grabs, and I think it's between Gini Wijnaldum, Naby Keita and Curtis Jones, potentially James Milner as well. I do think that is the position that is up for grabs. But going back to the Thiago thing, obviously Raphael Honigstein came out and said that apparently that Liverpool haven't made a bid. So it does kind of feel that this is another Timo Werner situation that, it just, as much as I would like him, I think his age is a wee bit worrying, but what a player he is. I remember in Barcelona he was absolutely magnificent in the Guardiola team, and then obviously having to go to Bayern Munich as well. And he's been magnificent for Bayern Munich. So I wonder if they're just using Liverpool to maybe get a better contract offer. But you have to say, if you're given the chance to sign Thiago, then obviously I would take it. But he's not a guaranteed starter. I can definitely say that. And if he does come in, I would worry about the development of Curtis Jones in the squad, because obviously with Lallana going, potentially Milner going, if you believe the rumours of him to Leeds, I think they're intensifying by the minute as well. I think we're going to have. I think if one of Milner and Wijnaldum goes, then I think it makes sense to buy Thiago. But if they both stay, then there's probably no point in getting him, because you're going to have a position. You're going to have a situation where, I think he's going to be potentially, having to wait for his chance. So for me, I think it is all paper talk. I don't think there's any truth in these rumours whatsoever. And I think it's all being sort of brewed from sort of Germany. I don't think any England papers are obviously, reporting it. So I think it's all paper talk, and I think it's all from Germany. I don't think it's anything to do with England.
Yeah, be very interesting. Nice one, boys. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below on that. A player that we didn't mention, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Marco Grujic as well. Is so many players in the academy as well, especially in that midfield area. So it will be interesting. And for me, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well. Just slightly off topic anyway, but I personally feel give it another 5 years. If Liverpool do bring in another right back of Trent's quality. I think we could potentially see Trent play in midfield somewhere, whether that be holding midfielder or more advanced anyway, especially if Endo does retire in the next coming years anyway. Obviously, he's got plenty of the years in the tank anyway. But in terms of, we'll go on to the next story, the final story. Everyone wants to gauge the two lads' thoughts anyway, but I wanted to ask you as a home. Liverpool, as I mentioned at the top of the show, very famously, we sign players from relegated sides that some teams don't really, probably obviously most of the high-profile clubs are analysing Bournemouth's and the Norwich's sides anyway to try and cherry-pick. Manchester City, the big example, picking Nathan Ake anyway. I think he's a fantastic signing and he's absolute steal compared to obviously another centre-back that went to another Manchester club anyway for a ridiculous fee. I think that's an absolute bargain compared to good old Slaphead. But in terms of Connor, we'll talk about. You mentioned a Bournemouth player, or might have been Doug, a Bournemouth player. Anyway, I think you'll mention it in a little second. But if I was to pick a player that I'd like, everyone, and let me know your thoughts. I think obviously Jack Grealish is the one. Obviously they stayed up anyway, but if they were to go down, he would have been the big name. But for me, where is he? Is it David Brooks, the young winger from Bournemouth? I absolutely love him as a player. When I've watched him this season, highlights and everything, he's a player that's really stood out. Obviously, his counterpart, his Welsh counterpart in Harry Wilson. Anyway, he's a fantastic winger. It'd be interesting if I was Klopp or who was on that transfer committee, I'd have a little eye on him. But Connor, is any players that tickle your fancy from any of these relegated sides that you would like to see Liverpool do a Robbo or a Shaqiri and bring them into the football club?
Ask the Welsh guy about the Welsh internationals. I see how it is.
Go ahead. I didn't think of that, but go ahead.
I joke. He's a good signing. Brooks would be a fantastic. He'd be like another Shaqiri, wouldn't he? Like, you get him on the cheap, and he'd be a perfect replacement. I personally, I would rather go after Lamine Lassar. Is that how you pronounce his name? From Watford. I think they bought him for 30 million last year. It could just be 35 million, or even it could be even less. I don't know whether or not with contract situation and that. But for going back on a thing that we said earlier on the show about the most important place in the team to build, I think left back. I think Robbo, he's by himself. All right, we got James Milner, but left back is it's a problem for Liverpool. So I really want Liverpool to go and sign Jamal Lewis from Norwich. And I've probably took one of Doug's answers for this, so I do apologise for that, Doug. But yeah, he's I know Norwich have had they've had a terrible season, and I've seen people saying that they're probably one of the worst teams to go down. I personally don't think that. I think they've been probably one of the best, the way that they've played and things like that. I think they've been a bit unlucky this season as well with certain things, but I think the two fullbacks for Norwich, they've been fantastic, and I think they've been the shining light in their season. Of course, we got Nico Williams now, so there's no need for Max Aarons, but Jamal Lewis, I think he's just a perfect person, and to learn from Robbo as well, and probably learn a bit from James Milner as well. Of course, of him playing there for a whole season at left back, so he's got a lot to learn, and I do think he, for me, would be the number one signing to get out to the bottom teams at least anyway. But to be fair, there's a load of talent there that you could easily, pick off, to be fair, for a decent price.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at the teams there. He's spot on there, mate. Max Aarons, who's being greedy. I'd love Liverpool to sign him anyway, because you can never have enough good footballers, and Conor was spot on there with the analysis of obviously Norwich played fantastic football. I think we can all agree with that. I just don't think they had the funds to play like Liverpool. The first game of the season against Liverpool, it was very in your face. Probably it's seen them went down, obviously, but I think for their fans, they played exciting football, and I think they started off the season very well, attacking teams, and then I think they kind of lost what got them promoted last season. They probably still would have went down anyway, but I would have liked to have seen them just continues to play like they were at the beginning of the season, I do think it would have. He kind of tried to sit back and counter-attack teams, but he just couldn't do it. Doug, I'll ask the same question, and everyone down in the comment section below. Is there anyone that tickles your fancy yet again that he's want to bring in?
Well, funny you say Max Aarons. I've heard from a certain friend of mine that apparently he might be going to Bayern Munich. Now, what a move that would be! What a move that would be from Norwich, who got relegated, to Bayern Munich, the German champions. That would be some move, and obviously you would get trained by Joshua Kimmich as well. So that would be good. Yes, Connor, you did steal one of my answers in the Jamal Lewis.
I had to.
But I have to say, there's another player at Bournemouth that's really impressed me. I don't know if anyone else thinks about that. Lloyd Kelly. I think it's Lloyd Kelly. Obviously, we were linked with him in the past when he was at Bristol City, and obviously he went to Bournemouth as well. So he'd be one that I would look on. Actually, I was looking at wee stat, and it's actually quite alarming for Bournemouth fans. Bournemouth conceded 60+ goals in all 5 seasons they were in the Premier League. So that's why they've gone down. Is they conceded too many goals. Would I take anyone from Watford? If you had asked me 12 months ago, I would have said right away Doucouré. But Doucouré has not been anywhere this season. He has been missing all season. I disagree on Sarr, because I think, barring Liverpool aside, he's been terrible. He has been awful. So I would disagree about that. And then there's not really anyone in Watford's team I would take, to be honest. Bournemouth, I think you've got Lloyd Kelly. I think David Brooks. Funny you say Ake. Funny thing enough, Manchester City now have 2 left-footed players in their back 4. So how are they going to do that? Because obviously they've got Ake, they've got Laporte. I think
Mendy as well. I think he's left-footed as well.
I think as someone mentioned, John Stones. Sorry, Pebbles is a stone. But I believe he'll probably be on his way. I believe he's been linked with Chelsea, which baffles me. I've not, honestly, £50 million. I think Everton did the best thing in getting rid of John Stones, because he's not been very, very good for Manchester City. Norwich, I think that obviously the main one is Lewis. I suppose people would probably go towards Cantwell, but again, I've not been very impressed with Cantwell since the restart. The only one I would probably take if he became available was Emi Buendia. That's another sort of option.
That's a very good shout.
Option for our midfield, and obviously we haven't had many Argentinian players. I think Mascherano and Maxi. Yeah, exactly. So I think looking at them, Lloyd Kelly, David Brooks from Bournemouth, no one from Watford. Sorry, Watford. That's nothing to say, but honestly, your owners are an absolute disgrace.
Would you not take Big Troy Deeney up front? We need him.
No, he's finished, isn't he? He's only 32.
Oh, don't say that to him. He might swear either in the interview.
Oh, that was hilarious.
That was a good interview.
It was absolutely brilliant. It's just the look on his face when Patrick Davison said that. I'm not that old, you cheeky bastard. And then he basically had to apologise to obviously the cameras. But no, for Watford, I wouldn't take anyone. I've not been impressed with Watford at all this season. And yeah, Norwich, Lewis, and Buendia would be the ideal ones, I think, for Norwich. But obviously, yeah, there is a lot of talent in obviously all those teams, but I don't think they're the 3 that have gone down. They've not got that. I don't think it's the best talent that we can go for. But I would think Lloyd Kelly is one that we've been linked with for ages. I think we'll probably go back in for him. I'm gonna say we'll get Lloyd Kelly, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, you're spot on there, mate. Fantastic shout in Buendia. Completely, I had it written down on my notes. He was probably one of my key players. I think he's probably, when I was looking at the stats this week, I think he's like up there, like the third most chances created. Considering for someone who got relegated, that's ridiculous. No discredit to obviously the players that he's his teammates, but you put him in a City or a Liverpool team, and if you could do that, then you're looking at some player. I think Atletico Madrid were looking at him or something, if you want to read all the rumours anyway. But absolute legends, thank you very much for coming on. As I said, make sure you do head over to the lads' channel, subscribe here as well. But thank you very much, lads, for taking the time out. It's a very long show, but I wanted to cover a wide range of topics anyway. But thank you very much for taking the time out, boys. I will see you hopefully again this week. Everyone, absolute legends. If you're watching till 30 minutes in, absolute legends. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. But it's going to be very interesting, Reds, who Liverpool do bring in and do take out of the football club. Will Ginny sign his new contract? Fingers crossed he does, and he got the new kit revealed very soon anyway, coming up. And if it's anything, we'll probably do a show. I think I'll probably do a show with Connor tomorrow if he's free, talking all about that anyway. My rants on my thoughts on not liking the concept kits anyway.
No. This is what you have to do. When all 20 Premier League clubs have their kits, we have to rank them. We have to rank them, because if anyone's seen the Inter Milan away kit, honestly, it is like playing a game of noughts and crosses with the amount of squares down the shirt. So, or if you want checkers. But yeah,
like Liverpool's third kit we can play chess on. Like that must just be Mike's team.
It's two monstrosities, Connor. It is absolutely two monstrosities. But obviously, I could go on about kits. But yeah, I think that'd be a good idea for a video ranking all 20 Premier League kits for the season. I think we'd have a lot of fun on that one.
Yeah, definitely. So stay tuned for that. That was an idea that Doug brought up anyway. There you go. Everyone else on YouTube can have that as well. But he's probably already done it anyway. But there you go, everyone. But thank you very much, lads. Thank you very much at home. Everyone, keep safe and well. Every red around the world. And if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully with Connor, and hopefully another episode with Doug anyway, in the coming this week anyway. But everyone, you'll never walk alone. And I'll see you later, boys. You'll never walk alone. Yeah. Excuse me.